On this episode, we're going to be working with the transport management. And on transport management, we are going to take a look at the transport zone and the transport lane. Also, on this episode, we are going to take a look at the logistics model. All right, so let's get started by jumping into the demo. Okay, so from the demo, we have we need to go straight to the supply chain design master data to access the transport zone. Okay, so this is the transport zone. I'm clicking on it. So we only have one transport zone in the demo tenant that I'm using currently. So if I click on all transport zone to see all the transport zone we have, you can see it's just only one. But what exactly does transport zone mean? And so to quickly address this, let's take a look at the SAP portal for more information. Okay, so from the L portal, what transport zone means is a transport zone is a logical division of geographic area for which you can perform logistics tasks. So to understand this, it means when you create a geographical location, like when you have a company, you definitely have a geographical location that you want to perform logistics operation. And for this, you will need a transport zone. So for some of the sites that we've created, we need a transport zone to be able to perform logistics operation from each of these site locations. All right, so that is the idea of the transport zone. So for transport lane, it's easier to understand because transport lane depends on the transport zone. So the transport lane is a set of guidelines for controlling the movement of product between a ship from site and a transport zone or between two sites of the same company. So it provides information about the shipping duration and the product that can be transported using this lane. All right, so that's a brief introduction of the transport zone. So let's go back to the demo to see how this is going to be performed and this is going to work out. So because without the transport zone and the transport lane, no logistics transaction can be performed. Either you're trying to work with the inbound logistic by performing the receiving task or uh, an outbound logistics operation. And also, after creating the transport zone, there is a need to define the logistics model. So going to take a look at that as time goes on in this episode. All right, so I'm switching back to the demo for more information. Okay, so this is the transport zone we have in the system. So if I click on this to see more information about this transport zone, you can see that the general information is just the transport zone. You can define the postal zip code, the postal code, the region, and the customers that belongs to this code. So if you click on the edit button, you can see additional information, set additional information for this transport zone. All right, I'm not going into details for this. You can also change the status of this transport zone. So currently the status of this transport zone is active. You can also create new transport zone. So I'm not going to do that now. So we're just going to use the default transport zone that has been created in the system. So if we go back to the transport lane, let's look at the transport lane. So these are the list of transport lanes that have been created in the system. So we need to also create a transport lane for the logistics location that we already created in our past episode. All right, so to do that, we need to click on new and we need to create a new transport lane. So here we need to define the transport lane description. So I'm just going to use logistics lane. So remember we already have the logistics location that we created in the system, and we've defined the storage location. All right, so here I'm going to define the ship from site ID. So the ship from site ID can be any location, it can be from external warehouse, it can be from the Amica it's in London, which is the main warehouse, or a third party location, or it can be the headquarter in London. So I'm going to select the Amica it's in London as the third party warehouse. And also I can leave this the ship to site location as blank, and also the transportation zone as blank. All right, so very important is the allowed product. So in if we go back a bit to our to the documentation, SAP documentation, I want us to take a note of this line here. So it says it provides for the transport lane. It also provides information about shipping duration and products that can be transported using this lane. So here we can set the products that we want to allow to use this. Either I choose all the products that we already have in the system, or I select a specific product that I want to transport. I would select the product again, then I'm going to change the status to active. So you can see it's active now. So here I'm just going to change the status of the transport lane that we're about to create to active. Let's see if we have any error. Okay, we have one error, so we need to select the ship to site ID or the transport zone. Okay, so here we need to define the transport zone that we need to attach to this transport lane. So, like I said earlier, without the transport zone, uh, the transport lane cannot function. It's either you select the ship to location where products from the ship from location in the lane can define the ship to, or you define the transport zone that the transport lane is going to use. So any transport lane that has this transport zone assigned will be able to perform logistics operation with them. All right, so I'm just going to select this, and let's change the status back to active. Now let's see, do we have any errors? No. Okay, so the information is saved. So I'm just going to click on save. Another error. Okay, so the system is throwing this error because we already have the ship from location already created. So I'm just going to pick logistic area. I mean the logistics lane that we already created in the system before now in the past episode. Okay, so I'm going to change the status to active. Let's see. Okay, so we need to change the status of the product as active. And now let's change this to active and see what happens. Okay, so it's active now. Let's save and see what happens. Okay, so the information is now saved successfully. All right, so if we go back to the list of transport lane, we should now research. We should now have the logistic lane created. So you can see the lane is now active. All right, so also we need to take a look at the logistics model. Okay, so if we go to the warehouse and logistics master data, we have the logistics model. Okay, so we can see the list of all logistics model in the system. brief model means in the documentation. So if you go straight to the supply chain, warehouse and logistics master data, and we go to logistics model, let's look at the definition. So logistics model are used to describe the complete logistics process that should be executed in order to fulfill inbound, outbound, and internal requests. So in the logistic models view, you can create logistic model that help automate the execution of processes in consistent, reliable, and scalable manner. So the logistics model offer a single view in which you have full control over how logistics process are executed. Okay. So in simple and short notes, so the logistics model is like a way of controlling the execution of your logistics processes. Now, if you like to control how products are being received into your logistics warehouses, or how goods are being, you know, delivered to some of your customers, you need to define the logistics model for this tasks for this task rather. So there are logistics processes that require tasks, warehouse task, and there are logistics model that doesn't require warehouse task. So all these are a way of having control of your logistics operation. So some logistics operation deals with critical inventory management, where some processes needs to be streamlined in order to make sure that yes, they have uh, a streamlined logistics flow of products, inbound product service, inbound product deliveries, and outbound product deliveries. All right, so let's go back to demo to see the impact of the logistics model in our demo environment. Okay, so I'm switching back to demo, and from the demo, we can see these are the list of all the logistics models that have been created in the system. Okay, so for our own training, so we can see some of these logistics models that are created. Some are with task, while some others are without task. So to create a new logistics model, we need to click on the new button. So here we have some information that we need to select, like the logistics model template ID. So the template ID are the steps and or task that you want the model that you are about to create to perform. All right. So the first step is like the inbound step. So we have template for one step receiving, and we also have template for two step receiving. So all these steps are defined from the implementation configuration. Okay, so we have the inbound one step receiving. So I'm going to select this and assign a logistics ID. So the ID is going to be a unique ID. Okay, then I'm going to choose the site, which is the logistics site that we already created. So I'm clicking OK. So that is created for me. So if I refresh, I should be able to see that. Okay. Okay, so this is it. So you can see we have the first step pending. So I'm going to click on it to further edit and activate the process. All right, so here we need to change the status of the operation. Like for if we can set the inspection process for it can be automatic inspection. So if we are performing an inbound receiving operation, we can perform, task the system to perform automatic inspection for any product that we are receiving. Okay, we're not going to do much here. We just need to click on save and release. And if there's any error, the system should alert us. All right, so the system has saved and also released the model for operation. Now I can close, and if I refresh again, so you can see we now have the logistics model and it's consistent now. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and create other logistics model for the logistics location that we created. Okay, so we created all the models for the logistics, so we can see some of the tasks here. So the first one we created is this template for one-step receiving, for one-step receiving of product, inbound deliveries. Then the second one is template for receiving without task. So if you don't want a warehouse task to be performed for this receiving, all you just need to do is to create a logistics model. So the system is going to define a task without task. So you can just, when you create your PO and you are about to perform inbound deliveries, you can just perform the goods issue. Goods receipt rather from the inbound delivery. Also, you can perform uh, removal, template for removal for removing stock from a location. You can also perform replenishment. So this replenishment requires a task. The removal also requires a warehouse task. So we cover this task as time goes on when we're working with the logistics operation, like the inbound, outbound logistics operations. Also, we have the one-step shipping task with pick list. So this is a one-step task for assigning pick list to warehouse operations, where you need to define pick list for products that are going to be picked for probably deliveries to customers. All right. So other informations like the goods return without task, uh, template for shipping without task. So if you're shipping to customers without task, if you are performing goods return, so this requires a warehouse task, and also customer returns without task. All right, so you can see, so most of this I just created them, and I've not actually released all of them. So I'm quickly going to do that by pausing the video. So all are consistent now, and they have the same site ID. So you can see which is the logistics site ID. The essence of defining a logistics model for your location is to streamline the logistics processes. When you don't define or structure the transport lane in an appropriate manner, or you don't define the logistics model, you have series of errors in the system when you are trying to probably perform your procurement operations, or you are, you know, performing outbound delivery operation to your customers, because some of these tasks that are required from the logistics model are not defined. And this is very important and is a key aspect of, you know, designing your SAP Business by Design ERP solution. Okay. This concludes the end of today's episode. Thank you for watching, and bye.